Coming up on today's edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast, what really happened in that big team meeting that happened a couple Thursdays ago? We'll talk about it. That plus a whole lot more comes up on Wednesday's edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast, November 8th, 2023.
Just win. Just win. Just win. Just win.
The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won. And won. And won. And won. And won.
And welcome in, Raider Nation, to another edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast. Thank you so much for making the show your first listen of the day. Make sure you subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast to get the latest edition of the show as soon as it becomes available. Of course, if you're checking us out on YouTube, we appreciate you and my man Ari, who makes sure we're up on YouTube looking good and sounding good each and every day. He's on Twitter at Ari Produces. I'm on Twitter at your boy Q254. And we got the Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line at 707-654-4693. Your calls and texts are coming up in segment number 3. Been getting a lot of feedback, as you can imagine, on the Silver and Black, so we'll try to get as many calls and texts coming up in segment number 3. Segment number 2, we'll talk about quarterback Aiden O'Connell, who for the first time in his young NFL career will get back-to-back starts, as he'll be starting this week against the New York Jets, and that's the expectation, to him continue to start as long as he gives the team the best opportunity to win games. So we'll talk about what we should see, what should we be looking to see from Aiden O'Connell as he continues to grow in the NFL. That comes up in segment number 2. Here in segment number 1, I'd like to hit you with the news and notes of the day. We'll jump right into it after I tell you about the title sponsor of the show, which is Gametime. You're looking for last-minute tickets to whatever event it is, you should download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Again, last-minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. I'll tell you more about them later on in the show, but let's go ahead and jump into it. News and notes of the day, and let's jump into the practice squad updates. And the Raiders have been tinkering with their roster as of late, signing multiple guys to the practice squad, releasing multiple guys from the practice squad, and so they made an addition and a couple of subtractions on Tuesday, where they signed wide receiver Christian Wilkerson back to the practice squad. Another wide receiver is back in the mix, but then they released 2 linebackers. Austin Ajike from the practice squad. He was a UNLV guy. He was released now, and then released linebacker Isaac Darkangelo from the practice squad as well. So with those 2 linebackers being released, I'm expecting, as the Raiders will get back to practice today, that means that they're getting healthier. Divine Diablo, he missed. And, of course, Luke Masterson, he missed as well, as he was dealing with a concussion. And Divine Diablo was dealing with an ankle injury. So it sounds to me like they're getting healthier. Robert Spillane, he played on Sunday against the Giants, but he played with a club on his hand. So I'm assuming that, again, with the releasing of the linebackers off the practice squad, that means that guys on the active roster are getting healthier. Remember, they signed Jalen Smith to the active roster last week as well. So that's just a little practice squad moves. We'll find out about the injury report. We'll find out that today. We'll get another one tomorrow. We'll get another one on Friday. And then 90 minutes before kickoff on Sunday Night Football, a little prime time action. We'll get the actives and inactives for the Silver and Black. So we'll see what happens. But the first edition of the injury report will come out a little bit later on this afternoon. So now I want to go back to what happened in that Thursday meeting. And on Sunday, when I was at Allegiant Stadium, when I was doing Q's Kickoff, which is the pregame show, it's 3 hours before kickoff. I go 1 hour long, 1 hour strong, then pass the sticks on to JT the Brick and Eric Allen. They lead you right up to kickoff. Jason Horowitz and Lincoln Kennedy. We'll do the same thing on Sunday for the Raiders and Jets. So anyone coming to Allegiant Stadium, just know 3 hours before kickoff, I'll be inside Allegiant Stadium on the Coors Light landing, right next to the torch, doing the pregame show, and then I'll hang out a little while after that and hopefully meet and greet with a lot of Raider Nation. But so that's going on Sunday as the Raiders are preparing to take on the Giants. And then there was a report from Fox Sunday morning, Jay Glazer, and he was talking about what happened in that Thursday meeting between the Raiders. It was just a big team meeting, and it got very emotional. It got very personal, and there was a lot of reports that Jay Glazer spit out that came out about that meeting, a lot of details that had a lot of Raider Nation scratching their head saying, wow, is that serious? If you don't remember what it was or you didn't hear what Jay Glazer had to say about that meeting, here it is right here. Check it out.
Last Thursday, there was this big airing of the grievance meeting, and players just unloaded on Josh McDaniels, from captain to player to player. And finally, Josh McDaniels actually had Antonio Pierce get up and speak on behalf of him and the coaches. When Antonio Pierce got up there, he said, look, guys, we have to have our own culture. It's got to be about culture here. And we also have to look at it. And he brought up the old Giants team that beat the Patriots, Josh McDaniels' team, in the Super Bowl in 2007 season. He said, no matter who we played, we thought we could beat them. We had a game plan that we could beat them. We had to believe that, and that's not here. We have to believe it here at the Raiders. We could beat anybody. Well, he finishes up that speech. Everybody thinks they're great, except for Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels then goes over to him and says, don't ever talk about the Patriots like that. And then you really saw how divided that building got. That got up to Mark Davis, and I think Mark Davis looked at it and go, okay, I'm going to choose the guy who believes that we can win every single week, and that's what his plan is going to be. And by the way, this is not just a throwaway for Antonio Pierce where, he's just going to coach out the rest of the season. He has a shot to keep this job.
So that's what Jay Glazer had to say about the meeting. So a lot of people were hitting me up. They were tweeting at me about it. Like, hey, did you hear this? Did you know this was going on? Did you know that meeting got that serious? And I said, look, I did not know that. I knew that it was a pretty personal meeting. We've heard from coaches that it was a meeting that was much needed. Antonio Pierce called it raw. Right? Champ Kelly said it was something that was needed, and we're going to give it to you raw. So we expect it raw from the players and just kind of building up that community. Well, there's always multiple sides to the story, right? Well, Will Compton, who played with the Raiders for a while, and of course does the Bussin' with the Boys podcast with Taylor Lewan, has Max Crosby on the latest edition. So I definitely encourage you to go check that out. It's always great when Max is on with those guys because, former players, former teammates of his, or at least former teammate in Will Compton, he's able to really kind of let his hair down and say what's on his mind. So Will Compton asked him about that players only meeting, or that team actually meeting. It wasn't players only, but just team meeting in general, and about the report of what happened, and especially referencing back to what Jay Glazer had to say on Fox on Sunday morning. So here's Will Compton asking Max Crosby about it, and here's his response. Check it out.
You have to ask about this player-coach meeting. It's now circulating a little bit, saying that McDaniels was talking in that meeting, and then it ended up not going the way that he thought it would, to a point where AP was standing up and kind of speaking for the brand of the staff. And then he brought up the Patriots, how the New York Giants dethroned them. And McDaniels was like, don't ever talk about the Patriots. And then it kind of went south. Did that happen?
I don't know where that came from or where he heard that, but he didn't stand up and like, AP, you can't talk about the Patriots. That's false. But it was very real. Basically every captain, every leader, everybody that has something to say went up and said their piece, and everyone was honest. It is what it is. It was, Coach McDaniels, called us in and he wanted to do it. Yeah, it was probably one of the realest meetings I've ever had in my life. It got real, and there was a lot of emotion, and that's for us. It's family business. The fact that it even got out is kind of irritating. I was irritated when I found out that somebody was talking about it.
So you hear what Max had to say, that's not how it went down. That's not that report's not accurate. And you hear how he said he was irritated that people are even talking about it, irritating that Jay Glazer is talking about it, irritated that it got outside the building when that should be a family-only meeting. And not sure who put it out there, not sure where Jay Glazer got his information from. I'm sure that it probably didn't go down just like that, like Max Crosby said. There was no point where Josh McDaniels probably jumped up and was like, don't you talk about the Patriots? But he might have pulled him to the side and said that. I mean, again, we don't really know who's the one who supplied the information, but obviously, as you heard Max Crosby say, that it was the realest meeting that he had ever been a part of in his NFL career. So there's that. So clearly there was something to it as far as a lot of emotions that went into that meeting. Ultimately, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Josh McDaniels is gone. Dave Ziegler is gone. I believe he was collateral damage. He came in with Josh McDaniels, so he left with Josh McDaniels. But in is Champ Kelly as the interim GM. Antonio Pierce is the interim head coach. And, of course, Bo Hardigree is the interim offensive coordinator. And so far, through one game, so far so good. Check. Check in that box, right? As far as media availability, today around 11:20 this morning, we'll meet with interim head coach Antonio Pierce in the Intermountain Health Performance Center. 1 to 1:30, practice will be open, so the media members can go ahead and check out practice, take pictures, tweet out videos, whatever the case may be. I won't be there. I got to be on the radio at 2, so it'd be way too tight to time, so I wouldn't be able to be there. And then 2:55 to 3:40, quarterback Aiden O'Connell, wide receiver Devontae Adams will be available at the podium, and then the locker room will be open as well to different media members. And, of course, again, I'll be on the radio at 2 o'clock, so I won't be there for that. But we'll be there to talk to Antonio Pierce at 11:20 this morning, so we'll talk about culture. We'll ask him questions about the upcoming game with the Jets and a whole lot more as they get ready for Week 10 action, primetime action at Allegiant Stadium. Real quick, I did want to give you a quick update on the White Tiger. The White Tiger is back. What are you talking about, Q? I'm talking about Martavis Bryant. Remember the guy that the Raiders gave up a third-round pick to get from the Pittsburgh Steelers? Well, he hasn't been in the league since 2018. Last time he played football was with the Vegas Vipers here in Vegas under head coach Rod Woodson. The Dallas Cowboys signed him. He's been newly reinstated back to the NFL. So the Dallas Cowboys signed him on Tuesday. That's according to Shams, who normally is bringing NBA information. But apparently Martavis Bryant went to work out for the Dallas Cowboys, and they are signing him or have signed him. But he last played for the Raiders in 2018, had 17 touchdowns, 2,183 receiving yards in 44 career games. So the White Tiger is back. And if you don't know the White Tiger reference, John Gruden said that about him. He said, if you ever been to the zoo and went by the tiger display, and every once in a while you'll see the white tiger. The white tiger's not always there, but when he is, he's awesome. Well, that's what he was talking about when he said Martavis Bryant. He called him the white tiger because he's not always there. He's not always available, but when he does show up and when you do see him, man, it is awesome. So the white tiger is back, but he will be in Dallas. So I just thought I'd give you a quick update on that. Coming up in segment number 2, Aiden O'Connell. He's got the opportunity. He can get start after start after start after start. But what do we want to see from him? What should we want to see from him? We'll talk about that in segment number 2 after I tell you about the title sponsor, which is Gametime. And if you live somewhere like I live, which is here in Las Vegas, there's a lot of times there's events that people want to go to, and they want to go to it last minute. Oh, man, I want to go to this concert, but didn't get tickets when they first went on sale. Man, I want to go to this game, but I didn't get tickets when they first went on sale. I don't want to go spend an arm and a leg. Well, good. Guess what? You're not going to have to. Gametime has got your back. You shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. And for me, a lot of people come to town a lot as well and say, hey, I'd like to go to this game. Do you have the hookup on some tickets? I'm like, no, but Gametime does. Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats. They find exclusive flash deals and sponsor deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. They got zone deals. You pick the section, and Gametime picks the seats. For an average of 18% savings, and the Gametime guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Right now, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the app, create an account, use Locked On NFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create the account, use the promo code Locked On NFL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. All right, Raider Nation, here we go. Segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Want to talk about Aidan O'Connell, who got the start on Sunday versus the Giants, his second career start. He's appeared in 3 games so far in his young NFL career, his rookie year. So against the Giants, 16 for 25, 209 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. He was clean. He didn't get sacked at all on Sunday either. And so really good game. All in all, as far as I'm concerned, Aidan O'Connell showed command of the offense, showed that he was able to talk about the coverage and create the coverage, set the coverage for him, able to shift guys around. Just looked like that the moment wasn't too big. But we also have to remember that that's going up against a Giants team that was not very good. And, a lot of people will say that they checked out and almost quit when Daniel Jones went down with the torn ACL. And I don't think that they actually quit, but you could tell that they were deflated after that happened. So again, 16 for 25, 209 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, no sacks, right? Didn't have to do a lot of the heavy lifting. Josh Jacobs did a lot of that. And once the run game got going, things started to fall into place for the Silver and Black. Came up with a couple of interceptions, had 8 sacks on the day. So the defense helped out in a major way as well. So the thing I was always talking about with Aidan O'Connell, even going back to when he got the start against the Chargers, why I didn't want to see him early is because I wanted to see him more often. I wanted to see him week after week after week after week, as opposed to just start him 1 week, stop him, have him off for 3 or 4 weeks, start him again, stop him, have him off for 3 or 4 weeks. I wanted to see consistency from Aidan O'Connell so you can get a real view and a real idea of who he can be. So, checks the box against the Giants. The Jets are coming to town this week. Much tougher defense. Really stingy defense. And I know that they lost to the Chargers on Monday Night Football, and I know they really got blown out 27-6, but a lot of that had to do with the Jets and their self-inflicted wounds offensively. Multiple fumbles, plus they gave up a special teams punt return touchdown, and so they were already behind the 8 ball in a major way. So that defense is going to come to play. They held Justin Herbert for under 200 yards, and if you include the sack yardage that the Jets got on Herbert, he only threw for about 107 yards. So it wasn't a great day at the office for a guy who many people call an elite quarterback. So what's going to happen with the rookie quarterback getting his 3rd career start? That's the good question. But not only this game, but the next game and the next game and the next game. And I do believe, barring injury, that you'll see Aiden O'Connell the rest of the way. I think he'll do just fine enough to be able to stay in there. I don't think he'll do anything where he craps the bed or anything, and they're like, well, we got to get Jimmy in or we got to get Brian Hoyer in. Like, I just don't see that happening. As long as he stays healthy, Aiden O'Connell I'm talking about, I do believe he'll be the starter the rest of the way. But what do I need to see? What should we be looking for to determine who this guy is moving forward? Because at some point, you got to make a decision. Okay, he's either the guy or he's just a guy. But at some point, the Raiders need to find the guy. And when we get into talking about the draft, when we get into talking about free agency, then we could talk about the drastic measures of what the team needs to do to go ahead and identify who the guy is. But right now, they have a bird's eye view. They have an up-close personal opportunity to see what Aiden O'Connell could be and if he could be the guy, not just a guy. So I got a few keys here that I'm looking for, a few things that I'd like to throw out there, and I believe that this is something that we all should be looking at when we're judging Aiden O'Connell on what he could be in the future. First of all, it's about playing consecutive games, which is what he's doing. Right? He's got that opportunity. Again, I never had anything against Aiden O'Connell, even though a lot of people, pushed back. You never liked the kid. No, it had nothing to do with that. It's not about me liking anybody. It's about me seeing somebody multiple times to see what they could do. So he's playing in consecutive games. He's going up against teams that throw different schemes at him, are going to show him different fronts. Wink Martindale, he's a guy that's a tough defensive coordinator to go up against. He did a fine job. Okay, so that was a Giants team that wasn't very good. What are you going to do against a Jets team that the secondary is solid, the defensive line is stout, the linebackers are fast, the safeties make plays, right? I mean, that defense goes after it. There's a reason why the Jets are 4-4 and they're still in the mix, even without a very good offense, without Aaron Rodgers, with Zach Wilson behind center. Not much of a run game, at least not on Monday Night Football with Breece Hall. They're still 4-4, and that's because of the strength of the defense. So big test coming up at Allegiant Stadium on Sunday versus the Jets. So, you're playing against the top-ranked defense this week. What does he look like if he has to play from behind? That's something that I want to look for. Now, I'm not saying Raiders get behind so Aiden O'Connell could try to make a comeback. No, but at some point this season, they're going to get behind. What does he look like playing with a little bit of adversity or playing from behind and when he's got to make a play, when he's got to make a throw? Right? Can he do it? Again, not saying he can't, just stuff that I'm looking for just to see what it looks like, to see who Aiden O'Connell is as a quarterback and a leader of the team. Also, can he get Devontae involved earlier? Devontae wasn't complaining after the game about targets and production and this, that, and the other. He's happy with wins, but you could tell that early in the game, that Devontae probably needed to get the rock a little bit sooner, right? So is there a way that either the coach, Bo Hardegree, interim offensive coordinator, or somebody can get Devontae involved early? He's a guy that you want to see him with his hands on the ball because he can make plays happen. He's your best wide receiver. He's your best weapon. You want to see Devontae. You want to see Jacoby. You want to see Hunter. And, of course, you want to see Josh Jacobs. And Josh Jacobs is not probably going to be able to carry the load each and every week to the tune of 26 carries, 30 carries, whatever the case may be. Teams are going to take that away. So at some point, Aiden O'Connell's going to have to, make a big throw or loosen up the defense a little bit with some throws to Devontae, Jacoby, stretch the field to Trey Tucker, whatever the case may be. But get Devontae involved early. Just make him a priority. That's what every quarterback should do because he's that stinking good. Can he continue to stretch the field, right? Trey Tucker laid out and had a nice little catch on Sunday against the Giants. Can he continue to do that? Can he get that kind of protection where he's able to, do a little play action pass and stretch the ball down the field and be accurate with it like he was with Trey Tucker? Matter of fact, Trey Tucker tweeted out, my bad, Raider Nation, next time I'll keep my feet, and that's a touchdown. So, Trey Tucker put that more on him as opposed to like an overthrow from Aiden O'Connell, but I would like to see him continue to stretch the field. Will he consistently protect the ball? Right? That was one of the biggest things coming out of that game on Sunday that stood out to me. I know he didn't have any touchdowns, but he also didn't throw any interceptions, and he didn't have any sacks where he lost the ball, where he fumbled, right? And there's games where he did that. The Chargers, as many times as he got sacked, 7 times, 6 by Khalil Mack alone, he fumbled multiple times. He threw an interception at the end. That's bad ball security. He's got to be able to secure the rock. Well, he did that on Sunday. Can he consistently do that, especially against a team like the Jets that are really stout defensively, that are really going to try to get after it, that they're not only trying to sack the quarterback, they're trying to sack the ball, meaning they're trying to take the ball right out of the quarterback's hand and take it the other way. Especially with a Jets team where the offense is bad, they need turnovers like that. They need to create opportunities for the offense to score. So they're going to definitely go and try to beat ball hawks. And, oh, by the way, the corners are really stinking good, led by Sauce Gardner. The safeties make plays as well. So, it's going to be a tall task. And We'll see if Aiden O'Connell's up for it, but ball security is a must. You cannot be like Jimmy G was, where he was leading the league or still leading the league in interceptions. Like, that's just not gonna cut it, man. They've got to be able to control the ball, control the time of possession. You don't want to turn the ball over, give it back to the opposing team on a short field. So he has to consistently find ways to protect the ball. And then, do I believe, and do you believe, Raider Nation, do the coaches believe throughout the course of the season, while he's the starting quarterback, that he still consistently gives the Raiders the best chance to win the game? Like, is there any time where someone's going to call in on the Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line at 707-654-4693 and says, okay, I'm done with the Aiden O'Connell experience, go ahead and throw Jimmy G back in, or throw Brian Hoyer in there, or just throw anyone in there and, hell, just tank for Caleb? Like, if those calls aren't coming, that means that Aiden O'Connell's doing some really good things. And maybe those calls aren't coming, but you're like, yeah, he's good, but he's not good enough to be the franchise quarterback to lead this team to the promised land. So he can be a really good backup, which is okay. He's a 4th-round pick. That's fine. Still need to go and find your franchise quarterback. That's a conversation that could be had as well. But I just want to know, week to week to week, however many weeks he's in there as a starting quarterback. And like I said, outside of injury, I expect him to be there the rest of the way, right? There's 8 more games guaranteed. I expect him to get 8 more starts guaranteed, as long as the Raiders are, still playing how they should be playing, and he's still giving them the best chance to win the game. And like I said, I hope that he is. So that's what I'm looking for from Aiden O'Connell moving forward as he continues to get start after start after start. And this is the time I'm excited about. Before McDaniels got fired, before Ziegler got fired, right after the Lions lost, I said, all right, I think it's time for Aiden O'Connell. Little did I know how it was going to come about. Didn't know that Antonio Pierce was going to end up being named the interim head coach, but it all did. It all came around full circle. Aiden O'Connell got to start on Sunday and looked really good. And now I'm excited to see what he could do the rest of the way. And I think Raider Nation's kind of pumped up as well, just out of curiosity, if nothing else, just to see what the Raiders have in Aiden O'Connell. Coming up in segment number 3, your calls and texts, 707-654-4693. That's the Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line. We'll get right into that after I tell you about DoorDash. I spent a lot of time at the house all weekend long, all week long, finding out what I'm doing, some kind of work, right? But it's usually at the house, and I don't have time to go and break away and go get some food. And I sure don't want to just go get in the car and go get some food. And sometimes, it's like, all right, I got to stop. I got to go do this. Well, instead of doing all that, a lot of times I'll ask the wife, hey, just go ahead and do a little DoorDash action for us. And she will. She'll hook it up in a major way. And I'm just not the guy that, does the whole DoorDashing thing, but she's real savvy with it. And it's not like it's complicated or anything, but she's good at it, so she does it. But if you want to just do it on your own, you can. It's real simple, actually. I'm just being lazy. But download the DoorDash app. Get it on your phone. If you use the promo code LOCK23, you'll get 50% off of the $10 value when you spend $15 or more on your first order. That's awesome. Not to mention, you're stimulating the local businesses, right? All the community that you have around you, all the businesses there, whether it's a pizza spot, whether it's a hamburger spot, whether it's a grocery store, whatever the case may be, Starbucks, whatever you need, they're able to provide. DoorDash hooks it up, and they go anywhere. And again, all your favorites that you want, they will get for you. All you got to do is, again, download the DoorDash app. You'll save up to 50% off your $10 value when you spend $15 or more on your first order. Again, download the DoorDash app. Use that promo code LOCK23. That's the only way you're going to get it. Subject to change, terms apply. Again, don't forget, promo code LOCK23 for 50% off of the $10 value on your first order when you download the DoorDash app and spend $15 or more. Subject to change, terms apply. Here we go, Raider Nation, segment number 3 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Your calls and texts straight off that Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line, 707-654-4693. Let's start things off with Raider Sean in L.A. He's calling to talk about the Raiders owner Mark Davis and what he thinks about his decisions as of late. Here he is, Raider Sean in L.A.
Hey, how you doing? This is Sean from L.A. Just wanted to give a call and, just kind of give my thoughts on, owner Mark Davis. It kind of really feels like he has kind of grown up and really taken on like a, I guess for like an owner that is like in the public eye as far as persona for being an owner, there's only like a couple of owners out there for being recognized for what they do, for everything that they do, and Mark Davis is one of them. He's been making some of the best decisions of his like ownership career lately, and I think everybody can understand why he hired McDaniels and Ziegler, just trying to see if the championship coaches can bring that over to Vegas. And it didn't work, but what was great is that he just followed his gut He just severed the ties. He just said, it's not going in the right way. I just need to start something new. So it was just awesome. I saw Mark Davis walk in with a new haircut, so it was just like, man, he must feel like, a new person, shedding some old skin, feeling old school again, and, it was just nice to see. I felt connected to Mark Davis, and I bet you he feels even more connected to the fans and, the team, for making a move like putting Antonio Pierce in position. And, really just kind of seeing how the team goes by having a good leader who gets the attention like he does. But anyways, I just wanted to make that comparison and really give props to Mark Davis because, he's in the public eye so much and people don't really give him a lot of credit. But, give the man his credit, people. Let's go Raiders! Thank you, Q. Bye.
Thank you for the call, my man. I appreciate you. And look, I'll say this. I know that he has tried. And I know that he really wants this team to win. There's nothing more than he wants than to see this franchise hoisting the Lombardi, be there and have to get Commissioner Goodell to hand him the Lombardi and say, the Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders, are your Super Bowl champs. He's trying everything. That's why he gave Gruden the long-term deal. So there was consistency there. So he had a football mind in there that wasn't him, right? That didn't work out. We all know why. Okay, so he's going to go outside the box and not really just stick to the cookie cutter. All right, we're going to do things the Raider way. We're going to do something else. So he went out and hired Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler. Clearly that didn't work out either. But to have the stones to pull the plug and say, okay, it's not getting better. It's getting worse. We're regressing. I got to stop the bleeding now, even though I'm going to take a hit financially. I'm going to do it because I got to get my right guys in place. And then not only that, but to put a guy like Antonio Pierce in as the interim to be not what he said, like not be a head coach, but really be the leader of the team. I thought that was smart, and we get to see what Antonio Pierce can do and what he can do as a leader of the team, where there's guys around the league like a Dan Campbell, like a Mike Tomlin, like a Robert Saleh, like, guys like that, John Harbaugh, that are really good leaders of men, what Rich Bisaccia was when he was with the Raiders, really good leaders of men. He's giving Antonio Pierce that opportunity. So he's going to continue to do everything he can to try to get the Raiders back where they need to be, but the coaches and the players got to play their role as well. Raider Sean, thank you for that call. I do appreciate you. Next up, got a text from Dylan from Southern Indiana. Says, Q, Dylan from Southern Indiana, I love this new feel of the Raiders team and coach. I know we haven't seen much from this coach and the other coaches that stepped up to fill in, but hard to not get excited when the players are responding the way they are. Lots of Raider fans have to be excited. Let's carry the energy against the Jets and get us a couple good key wins to show you better be scared when you see the Raiders pop up on the schedule. Raiders. That's Dylan from Southern Indiana, and that's the thing that I'm interested in seeing. That's one of the big elements that I want to see. Everything looks good when you're winning, right? The energy in the locker room was great. Smoking cigars, all that's fantastic because they won. They won 30-6 over the Giants. What if they lose? What if they lose 30-6? I'm not saying to the Jets, but just to anybody, 30-6. What if you lose a bad game? What if you lose a close game? What if all of a sudden the message that Antonio Pierce is spitting is not, taken the right way, or it's not, you don't see the results on the field? How is the energy going to stay? Is it still going to be there? That's what I'm interested in seeing. And I don't want it to happen because that means that a loss happened. That means some kind of adversity hit. But you really get to know a lot about a team when that happens. When adversity hits, how do they respond? Are they going to continue to show up and show out for Coach Pierce? Well, only time will tell. At some point this season, he mentioned it as well. There's 8 games guaranteed. Adversity will hit at some point. It's always about the way you respond. Thanks so much for that text. I do appreciate you. Up next, got a call from Heavy D from south of Buffalo. He's calling to talk about loving the Raiders and also liking them again, and he explains why now. Here he is, Heavy D from south of Buffalo.
Q, Heavy D, coming to you south of Buffalo. Hey, just like so many Raider fans out there, I'm just thrilled to like my team again. I love the Raiders. I loved the Raiders a few weeks ago, but I didn't like them. First time in my life, I loved them, but didn't like them. I didn't like watching them. It was painful. I remember going back to last year, watching them play that Rams game, even when they were up 13-3, watching a team completely uninterested in scoring, running up the middle for 3 yards of carry. Just a painful, unpleasant experience. I hated watching my team, and it broke my heart that I felt that way. Going into that Monday night game against Detroit, I knew we were going to lose. I knew they were going to overmatch our energy, and I was dreading it. I had a sick feeling in the pit of my stomach, and I used to get psyched the night before Monday Night Football. I couldn't sleep. I was so excited. So I'm thrilled to like my team again. I've always loved them, but now I like them again. And Antonio Pierce said the team is a reflection of the head coach. I think that's true of the fan base a little bit. He's energized me. McDaniels was flat. He always went to the podium and said a whole lot of nothing. And that's kind of how I felt the last couple of years, just flat. And when I'd watch these games, I was just watching a whole lot of nothing, excruciatingly boring football. And I'm thrilled to have my team back. I'm thrilled to have the Raiders back. I'm thrilled to love them and like them again. And going forward, coming up this week, we're going to beat the Jets. I feel it. It's the first time I felt this way in a while, and I feel like we're going to beat them. I think we're going to beat up on them. And I'm thrilled to be looking forward to watching football again instead of looking at it as something to endure. Q, love the show. Always my first listen. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you for the call, my man. Flat and a whole lot of nothing is how you describe the Raiders the last few years under McDaniels, and now you're back to really liking the team. Always loved the team, but now you're back to liking the team as well. You're excited. The fan base is excited. The players are excited. Hell, the media covering the team is excited. I'm more excited, right? I'm more excited just because that dark cloud is lifted off the organization and, more importantly, lifted off the fan base. I mean, the fans were so down in the dumps, and it felt like everybody was fighting with each other. I was down. I was like, man, is this still worth it? Right? I mean, seriously, like, I can talk about all kinds of sports and not have to worry about it. It was getting to the point where this is no longer becoming fun. And believe me, Raider Nation, we don't make enough money to do something that's not fun. If I'm going to do something that's not fun, I better make a whole lot of money while I'm doing it, right? So it got to that point where it's just like, man, everyone is kind of just down in the dumps, and they're just, the energy's not there. And so what Antonio Pierce was able to bring so far is a breath of fresh air, and that cloud all of a sudden is gone, and you see the joy back on the face of the players, of the fans, the owner, just everyone in general, and it's really, really good to see. I don't know how it's going to shake out. I don't know how it's going to, finish, but I'm here for it, and I love the energy that I'm seeing from Raider Nation in general. So thanks so much for that call. I appreciate you. Got a text from Brent in Vegas. Said, yo, what's up, Q? It's Brent in Vegas, first-time texter, long-time listener. I'm going to my first NFL game, first Raider game this Sunday against the Jets. Was a little nervous. I got the tickets the day before that horrible loss against the Bears, but now I'm fired up. Hope to be able to meet you this Sunday. Love what you're doing. Keep killing the game. Just win, baby. That's Brent in Vegas. And, man, congratulations, right? It should be a fun game, little prime time action, right? Jets coming to town, Allegiant Stadium. I'll be at the Coors Light Landing, man. If you want to meet me, that's cool because I want to meet you. Come to the Coors Light Landing, right there next to the Al Davis Torch. You cannot miss it. It's on the, second floor, the 200 level. Come up there, hang out. That's where everyone goes, hangs out, takes pictures in front of the torch, get some drinks at the big bar that's there. And just, like I said, hangs out, listens to the pregame show with JT and Eric Allen, which is always awesome. Eric Allen's always down to sign autographs and take pictures. The Raiders always have some alumni that's up there with JT and company. It's really good. And, come up and say what's up. Love to talk some Raider football with you. Welcome you to Allegiant Stadium. And, hopefully you'll have a really good time. I'm sure you will. It's a beautiful stadium. Obviously, the Raiders need to do their part and go get the dub for you being in the building. But thanks so much for that text. I do appreciate you. I think I got time for one more. How about Raider Kev? He's calling to talk about AP and what he could appreciate about what Coach Pierce is and what he brings to the team. Here he is, Raider Kev.
Hey, Q. How you doing, man? This is Raider Kev. I am really enjoying the show. I got tuned into your show earlier this year, and I'm really, really on board with the content that you're putting out and information that you're giving us. Truly, truly appreciate it. What I want to speak on real quickly is I can truly appreciate what AP is doing for this team and doing for the nation. It reminds me of when Hugh Jackson came in. Hugh Jackson came in wanting to change the culture. He was a Raider, and that's what I love about AP. He's pronounced that he's a Raider. And as a fan, as part of Raider Nation, we can appreciate that because we know that you're invested. You're emotionally invested in what we're looking for, what Al Davis has instilled in us as fans. And with that passion and with that drive, I think you get the best out of this team. And I truly hope that AP gets an honest opportunity to show what he's capable of and show where he can bring this team. Look, the rest of this season is an audition, and I think that I hope that Mr. Davis truly gives him an opportunity to show what he's capable of and gives him a fair evaluation opportunity to win this job. Because I truly believe his passion for this team and the direction that he can bring this team, I think could be something special. He said something that you said something on your show that he said he wanted to put the players, specifically Josh, in the position that he is comfortable with. He wants to know what he was comfortable with running. And to me, that's a sign of a great leader. Not trying to force a player to do what you want him to do, but trying to get the best out of what he does best. So, Q, I really appreciate the show. I appreciate the information that you give us. And I feel great to be a Raider right now. Thanks, guys.
Kev, thanks for the call. Thanks for closing us out today. And I appreciate you and totally understand what you're talking about when it comes to the hope that AP is given the opportunity to earn the full-time job, right? He's given hope to the team. And with that being said, you're hoping that he's given the opportunity, the real opportunity to get that full-time job. And honestly, I think he will, right? And this has not been told to me, but I feel like that Mark Davis is going to have a wide net cast, right? He's going to go and look under every stone to find the next guy, whoever that could be. And the good thing for Antonio Pierce, he's got a 9-game opportunity to prove that he should be the guy. So far, 1 for 1, all good. What's going to happen this week, right? What's going to happen the following week? What's going to happen when they're on the road, right, against tough teams like Miami, like Kansas City, right? Those games are going to be tough, you know, and so that's what I want to see, what it looks like when it's all said and done, you know, what these next 8 games look like, you know, and who Mark Davis decides to, you know, bring in for an interview for the coach and the GM position as well. So it's all out there in the air, but I do believe that Coach Pierce is going to get every single opportunity he can to win the job. He's just got to go out there and win the job. Raider Kev, thanks so much for that call. I do appreciate you. Still got a text from G-Thang and Redondo Beach. Got a call from Raider Nate in the 808. Plus a few more we'll get to coming up on tomorrow's show. Also, it's Thursday, so what? Crossover Thursday. We'll be talking Jets and Raiders. It's already that opportunity for the crossover edition. That means Week 10 NFL action is right in front of us. So excited about that. We'll talk to Coach Pierce at 11:20 this morning. Get his thoughts on the Jets. Get his thoughts on the team. And really, I want to ask him a culture question, just how he wants to go about trying to create a positive and healthy culture in the Raiders locker room and within the organization. So hopefully you get that opportunity to do that, and have some really good sound to bring back to the show as well. Till tomorrow, Raider Nation, take care of yourself, take care of your family, love on your family. Most importantly, as always, just win, baby.